So the question is what is doxing and why is it significant? At the end of the day, really all doxing is releasing people's personal information out to the web. Essentially, this means what is their real name, what is their phone number, what is their address, possibly what is their email address, possibly where do they work, this type of information. So now, if you may be sitting there, you may be thinking about it. If you're from an older generation, such as a Gen Xer or older, you may think about doxing and you may think about the old white pages. You may wonder, why is this a big deal? It was not that long ago that all of us, every year, we got this big book called the White Pages, and in the White Pages, it had everybody's names, phone numbers, and addresses in the local area. And that was simply literally delivered to your doorstep every year. So why is doxing a problem? Well, the problem is that many people, when they use online services, they feel like they're using those online services anonymously. And the problem is many times when people use things anonymously, they don't they don't act how they would in the real world. The things that they say, how they say things, what they support when they're anonymous may be a lot different than the public persona they put on to their employer, to their spouses, to their friends, so on and so forth. This may go everything from whether they say racially disparaging remarks to whether they're closet homosexuals. Basically, while they're online, they act a certain way that they simply don't in the real world. And if people found out how they acted online, that could cause them significant problems in the real world. So the first issue with doxing is that simply people are online and they don't want their personal information to be known for whatever reason. The other issue that comes about with doxing is the reason why the doxing occurs. So generally, doxing occurs when somebody wants another person essentially to be punished. So you see this with the Charlottesville marchers from about a year and a half ago. So people marched in Charlottesville. A lot of them were racist. A lot of them were alt-right. A lot of them were people that many folks did not agree with. And so their pictures were taken and their pictures were online. And then essentially what happened is that people were able to associate those pictures with real names and phone numbers and where these people worked, so on and so forth. And then they posted that online in an act to try to punish those people. So what they do is they post to their Twitter accounts or to their social media accounts, and they say, go harass these people's employers, so on and so forth, to try to get them fired. The idea being, if you're a racist marching in a march, then make sure that your employer knows you're a racist. And then in many places, especially in the United States, we have what's called at-will employment, where basically the employer can fire you for any reason at any time. And if they see that one of their employees is marching in what they consider a racist march, then that is a reason that they decide to fire them. And so the problem that we run into with doxing is then that people's information is put out, and then it's not simply that one person finds the information, but they find the information, they post that online, and then you get tens or hundreds or thousands of people using that information to try to attack whoever the target is. So Blasey Ford recently with the Kavanaugh hearings, her information was leaked out. She was getting death threats. She was getting a lot of problems simply because her information was out in the real world. And so this is what the problem with doxing is. Again, the first thing that I said, I was talking about the Charlottesville marchers, and you may sit there and you think about it and you say, well, that sounds like something that should be doxed. Their information should be put out to the public so people know that these evil people are in their neighborhoods and should be dealt with. The problem is, again, with a lot of these things, there's a whole bunch of gray area where then with Blasey Ford, when her information is leaked, she gets the same types of attacks. And that's where we get into with this doxing world, is there is a lot of angry people out there. They're angry for many different reasons. And if they can find a reason to attack another person and they can feel legitimate about it, they will do that. And if this personal information is out there, then people have problems. You see doxing with problems with such as swatting. So in the YouTube world with live streaming or Twitch, if somebody's physical address is put out to the real world, then you have pranksters, I guess you would call them, criminals, if you have criminals that call the local police station, say that there is some kind of hostage event, and in order to try to get a SWAT team to go to a particular house and have horrible things ensue. So this is what doxing is. All doxing is basically putting out people's personal information to the web. Again, whether it's a phone number, whether it's their real name, whether it's their address, whether it's where they work, so on and so forth. On the whole of it, that generally isn't the worst problem with doxing. That is simply, here's the information for this person. Where it becomes more problematic is when people say, this is the information for this person, so no, now go harass the employer, or now call them up and tell them what you think of them, or find out more information about this person and call their parents up or their siblings up, that type of thing. Then, as I say, you get tens or hundreds or thousands of people doing that. It now is no longer more about the information being put out there than the call of action on to do something with that information. So that's what doxing is, and that's why it's significant. It's definitely something you should think about.